today, the first reading of the Gospel, they both speak about love, but in a very different way. Listen to the first reading on how St. Paul speaks about love to the Romans. He's saying, love is a fulfillment of the law. Law does not do evil to the neighbor. We could say that in the perspective of St. Paul, love is shown in a beautiful way and love is fantastic, and we can see love in its amazing aspect of it, that it's sweet like honey, and we always want love and we also want to be loved. So we could say in the first reading, love is portrayed as something mostly desirable and mostly, beautiful and amazing. But in the gospel, love has a different edge to it. Jesus says, if you really love me and if you want to be my disciple, you have to take your cross, you have to hate your parents, you have to hate your wife, you have to sell all of your possessions and give it to the poor. So in the second, or in the gospel, it looks like we see love not so much in its amazing aspect, but in its demanding aspect. So at the same time, love is something that we really hunger for, and we need, and it's sweet and beautiful. But at the same time, love is always demanding and wants the most of us and everything of us. Sometimes we would like only love to be one aspect. We would like love to be only amazing. But we forget that love has these two aspects. Think about it. In a marriage, how does love start among a couple? Normally, when love starts, you fall in love and the initial moment is beautiful, because having the experience of falling in love is something amazing. The first months of dating is so beautiful, so exciting, you get to know the other person. But then, let's think about 30 years into marriage when one of the spouses is sick, when one of the spouses is terminally sick and the other spouse has to take care of them. It sometimes looks like in the first moment of love, the fantastic part of love is more easily perceivable. And it's so intense that all of the difficulties that are part of love, you don't feel like difficulties, because love is so fantastic that the difficulties don't even seem to be present. But in the later stages of love, when you come to think about it, the difficulties and the requirements are more perceivable. But this is the trick. The more generous and the more life-giving and the more selfless you are when it comes to the difficulties of love, the more you will always experience the sweetness of love. So again, let's finish with this. Remember, when love starts, the fantastic part of love is so intense that the difficulties are hard to perceive. But in the later stage of love, the difficulties are much more intense and the fantastic part is not so evident. But the more generous and life-giving and selfless you are when it comes to the difficulties in love, the more you perceive the sweetness of the love. So what is my encouragement for you? If you're a married person, remember, the more you give of yourself in the later stages of love, the more you can perceive the beauty of the love. And it is exactly the same with God. The more generous we are with the difficulties that our spiritual life entail, the more we can always perceive the sweetness and the beauty of the first aspect of love.